Hello party people, welcome or welcome back. This is the fourth installment of the Playing Every NES Game Ever series. Today we're going to be taking a look at the letter C, so no time to dilly-dally. Sit back, relax, and take notes while I waste a couple hours of your life. Alright, let's get right into it. Cabal. In this game, the player controls a commando viewed from behind, trying to kill military personnel as well as destroying military equipment. When you start, you are placed behind barriers that you can use as cover, but as the battle goes on, these barriers can get destroyed, leaving you to your own devices. When you kill enemies, there is a chance of them dropping different weapons that you can pick up, as well as a star, which is literally just a point bonus. Nice little thing to spice things up, you know? You can also sprint from one side of the screen to the other, as well as diving in order to get behind cover or escape incoming bullets. There is also the option to change weapons. Usually this is from a machine gun to grenades, which is nice to wipe out clusters of enemies, you know? Gaboom. Also, when you complete a stage, this Rambo fella does the Gangnam style. Yippee. As far as story goes, the manual gives it to us like this. Your orders, soldier. At ease. Major I am Havoc here, combat consultant to the International World Affairs Council. We've just received notice of a worldwide assault being planned by DRAT, the dreaded Republic of Allied Terrorists. The council has instructed me to select a volunteer to defuse the situation. And guess what? You just volunteered. No, I did not, brother. Please leave my name out of this. Get ready for a week's R&R at the terrorist camp on a secluded island paradise. You'll stroll the warm tropical beaches as bullets shred the sand at your feet. Gaze at the enchanting sunsets as you dodge the raking fire of deadly combat choppers, and admire the beauty of ancient ruins, and then ruin them some more. This is strictly a covert operation. The council cannot claim responsibility for you if you fail. You're on your own, and if you mess up, it's your hide. The entire terrorist camp must be wiped out, or the vermin will begin their reign of terror. Leave no buildings standing, no ships floating, no choppers flying, and most importantly, clear the entire zone of enemy personnel. Keep your eyes open and your finger on the trigger. Complete your mission and the world can breathe a sigh of relief. And good luck, soldier. You're gonna need it. Major I am Havoc, Combat Consultant, IWAC. This game was pretty fun, to be honest. It almost reminds me of one of those amusement park games where you need to race the car. You know what I'm talking about? You shoot the water gun and the car goes, you know what I'm saying? At first, I found the controls wonky because I didn't realize that you can control the crosshairs if you're consistently shooting. So I was just running back and forth trying to get the crosshairs to line up with enemies. That probably makes no sense, but if you've ever played this game, then you'll probably know what I'm talking about. I hope. Cadillac. A regular deck of 52 cards is shuffled and the first 4 cards are exposed. 1 card at a time drops from the top of the screen. You must place each card in the grid as the cards descend to make a poker hand which will eliminate the cards and open up spaces in the grid for the rest of the cards. Blah blah blah. This is a boring card game. Basically, you match cards with the same number or same symbol. If you end the game with cards remaining, you lose. Not my type of game, and I'm sure it's not what you're watching this video for, so moving on. The cover is pretty cool though. Caesar's Palace is a game that takes place inside a casino. It's literally just a gambling simulator. I spent most of my time on the slots because I know nothing about gambling, but then when I got bored, I went all in on blackjack and won. If only I could get so lucky in real life. California Games. Welcome to California, home of the most awesome sports going. You're invited to tour the Golden State as you tackle 6 challenging events. First stop is Hollywood for radical skateboard action on the halfpipe. Then it's up to San Francisco for some fancy footwork in the foot bag competition. After that, chill out on the beach with surfing and roller skating competitions. Still got some energy? Hit the desert to pump your pedals in BMX bike racing. Then wind up a whirlwind tour at Yosemite for a fling with the flying disc. That's 6 massive events. You're gonna have your hands full, not to mention your feet. Practice your moves. In no time flat, you'll be aggro enough to attack the competition. Be the best in the West and you'll capture the first place trophy. This game reminds me of that American Gladiator game we played, which is a long time ago now, but we did play it. Basically, you have to compete in multiple different competitions to determine the winner. These being skateboarding, footbag, aka hacky sack, surfing, roller skating, BMX bike racing, and flying disc, which is literally just frisbee. While I was setting up this game, I must have accidentally clicked something wrong because I was playing the 6 different players, and I didn't even notice before it was too late, but I did get really good at the skateboarding minigame though. There's also a page in the back of the manual that gives a definition of extremely dated slang. I'll throw it on the screen for you here now. Capcom's Gold Medal Challenge 92 is an Olympic sports game loosely based on the 1992 Summer Olympics in Barcelona. It mostly incorporates button-mashing minigames, these being 100-meter dash, 200-meter dash, 400-meter dash, 4 times 100-meter relay, long jump, triple jump, high jump, shot put, javelin throw, 100-meter hurdles, 100-meter backstroke, 100-meter breaststroke, 100-meter butterfly, 100-meter freestyle, 100-meter individual melody, vault, weightlifting, and marathon. Sound like a fucking one of them auctioneers. Captain America and the Avengers. It's a challenge fit for the Avengers. Iron Man and the Synthenoid Vision, captives of the evil Red Skull. Can Captain America and Hawkeye set them free? To do it, they must overcome a host of terrifying foes like a flying beast cloned from a savage piranha or fireman who can attack in the form of a fireball. They'll leap deadly pools of acid water and shatter barriers with their super weapons. And when all that's done, there will be more danger to face and more invincible foes. Sometimes you fight as Captain America using your shield in ingenious ways, or battle as Hawkeye and ravage the enemy with your arrows. The choice is yours. Either way, if you don't hurry, it's death for Iron Man and Vision unless the Avengers prevail. Apparently in this game, you can play as 4 different heroes. I played for about 20 minutes and didn't even realize this was a feature until I read the manual, but hey. Basically, you play the levels until you receive an orb that will open the exit of the level, and then wabam, you move on to the next one. Pretty good, pretty solid. Captain Ed. This game isn't in English, but I did manage to figure it out. You play as a character named Captain Ed, believe it or not, and you must fight your way through space in order to destroy 7 masters of space. Every so often, you will have to stop and buy gas or other items. Not sure what these are because I couldn't find the manual, and I'm going off of summaries that I found online. The color changing tiles behind you have different effects on your ship. Green tiles do nothing, yellow tiles make you use more gas, and red tiles rapidly deplete your gas, and also shifts your spaceship as you're trying to progress. Really annoying if we're being honest. Made me wonder if my emulator was buggy, or if it was meant to be that way. Blue tiles let you gain gas, but very, very slightly to the point where you wouldn't even notice it. Captain Planet and the Planeteers. What's at stake? Our world is in peril. The spirit of Earth can no longer stand the terrible destruction plaguing our planet. She must have help. From Hope Island,
Gaia
cast her 5 magic rings around the world. Each of the 5 Planeteers receives a ring and its elemental power.
Kwame
From Africa has seen forests turn into deserts and wildlife disappear. His power is Earth. Wheeler from North America has seen the cities become polluted, unhealthy places for children and animals. His power is fire. Linka from the Soviet Union has seen the terrible results of nuclear meltdown. Her power is wind. G from Asia has seen how water pollution destroys animal habitats. Her power is water. Mati from South Africa has seen the destruction of the rainforest begin. He wants to save the secrets of its healing plants before it's too late. His power is heart. By all their powers combined, the Planeteers summon Captain Planet, an environmental superhero with supernatural powers. Earth, fire, wind, water, and heart. He can become any of these powers to fight enemies, get bonuses, and save the planet. If Captain Planet is exposed to the pollutants such as acid rain, toxic waste, smog, etc., his powers are weakened. So it's up to you. Join in. Help save the planet. Take pollution down to 0. The power is yours. This game kind of fucking blows, I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry if you have some kind of nostalgia attached to this game, but goddamn. You know what? Okay, you know what? I actually take it back. It's not even that it's Back to the Future terrible, it's just unnecessarily hard. You cannot come in contact with anything whatsoever or else you will crash. I played the first level, died a bunch, and then gave up. Captain Silver. This game isn't in English, but I managed to find a translated ROM on the internet. This game revolves around a young sailor and former first mate named Jim Aykroyd, who goes on a journey to seek the lost treasure of Captain Silver while fighting werewolves, cats, and stuff like that for some reason. This dude is also like 20 feet tall for some reason. Check out how tall he is compared to the doors on these buildings. This game is pretty clunky, and yeah, it just wasn't very good. Also, I couldn't really find much information about it online, besides general rundowns of the story and a few reviews here and there, so, yeah bing. Captain Skyhawk. Is Earth doomed? Aliens have secretly invaded our planet. Their mission? Destroy Earth. In remote corners of the globe, these evil invaders have built 4 land bases, each designed to drain Earth's energy and feed it to their space station. In just a few days, the power drain will be complete. Then the alien space station will vaporize Earth with a deadly laser blast. Only you can stop this horror. You must fight the alien forces, destroy the enemy bases, and blow up the alien space station. But how? Our top scientists have created a special fighter jet just for you, the F-14 VTS. Whether you're soaring over mountaintops at Mach 3 or floating in hover mode, your F-14 VTS will measure up to any challenge. It's equipped with a spy satellite viewer that lets you see your plane from above as you fly it, and it's loaded with incredible weapons. Additional firepower is available at your own space station. Nobody said it would be easy. These devious aliens will attack you with everything they've got, from conventional planes and tanks to the most bizarre alien weaponry. You must be ready for anything. After destroying the enemy bases, you face your final challenge, the dreaded alien space station. There is only one weapon powerful enough to destroy it, the top secret neuron cannon. Unfortunately, our scientists haven't finished developing it yet. They're working like crazy in the underground caverns to complete the project, but they need your help. You must drop much needed supplies to them before the secret weapon can be completed. Have fun, Captain. It's time to fry some aliens. This game is actually really cool, albeit hard on the eyes sometimes and difficult to wrap your head around. I find that seems to be a trend with these 3D 8-bit games, but once you get the hang of it, this game is actually really fun. You fly and dodge shit while shooting. What else could you ask for? Captain
Tsubasa
Volume 2, Super Striker. This game is a soccer game that has lore or something. I'd read you a summary, but what it really comes down to is that it's a soccer game. This is a continuation of the cinematic soccer series of games, the rest of which we will be playing at some point. So don't fret. Oh, also this game isn't in English. I just found a translated ROM. Casino Derby and Super Bingo. I couldn't find much of anything online about this game, and it's also not in English, but I think it's just a game that helps you gamble. Bruh. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, there's a horse racing game that you don't do anything in but watch, and since it's not in English, I couldn't read what it was saying. I just clicked what looked like the start button, and away we went. And also, the bingo game isn't like bingo. You don't have like a card or anything. It just calls numbers. Like B52, N14, O24. You catch my drift? Yeah, I don't know. If you have any information on this game, please let me know down in the comments, because I would genuinely like to know. But as it stands, this is just a gambling aid. Casino Kid. Players step into the shoes of a young, aspiring poker champ with dreams of making it big in the world of gambling. His parents must be really proud. Imagine you had a child. Raise this child. Beautiful baby. And then 18 years pass and the kid's like, you know what, Mom and Dad? I don't feel like going to college. I don't feel like getting a job. I want to be a gambler. According to the game's manual, the story unfolds as the casino kid, fresh off a family vacation, finds himself in the midst of a high-stakes poker tournament. With only a few cup of bucks to his name and a knack for card games, he must outwit a series of colorful and increasingly challenging opponents in various casino games, including poker, blackjack, and roulette. This is also literally just a gambling simulator. It took me forever to find out where I had to go because the game gives you like no direction. You talk to NPCs and most of them say things like, I'm pretty and I'm handsome and shit like that. I was stumped there for a minute, I'm not gonna lie, and had to check the manual. It didn't give me much information though. So I ended up talking to this random lady at a table who told me to talk to Lisa in the south, and boom. I found my way and the rest is history. Oh, and before you ask, because I know you're dying to know, yes, I tried to go all in, but the bet limit was $10 to $100, unfortunately. Casino Kid 2. In this game, players once again take on the role of Casino Kid, a skilled gambler who has already conquered the casino scene. Conquered the casino scene. Say that 10 times fast. A skilled gambler who has already conquered the casino scene in Lost Wages. The story, according to the manual, revolves around Kid being invited to participate in a world tournament where he must defeat various top gamblers from around the globe. His ultimate goal is to challenge and defeat the reigning world champion to solidify his title as the best gambler in the world. Players travel from country to country facing off against opponents in poker, blackjack, and roulette, with strategy and luck determining their success. We love the gambling simulators. Gambling addicts rise up. This one was actually better than the first one though, in my opinion. I like the levels better than just walking through the casino and taking shots in the dark over what you can and cannot play. If you guys wonder what I do in my free time when I'm not uploading a video for like 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, I'd be training. I'd be playing Casino Kid, training to become the world's best gambler, world-renowned gambler. Castellian. You're witnessing a typical sparkling summer morning in downtown Gemmerville. Both suns have risen over the planet Centrius, where summer of course is the only season. And it is here on the island nation of Gemmerville that the most valuable centribes, diamonds and sapphires are mined. The island's precious gem deposits are talked about throughout the Triangulum galaxy, and they're the envy of almost every life form in this corner of the universe. Julius was asleep in his terranium when the holographic intercom sprayed out a message. It was the president of Domo Loco and Sons Inc.
Julius, we have a serious situation. The governor has reported that 7 alien towers have surrounded the island. If one more appears, the island will be completely enclosed. The Navy ports are almost cut off. The hyper freighters are trapped. Nothing is getting in or out. I've given the governor my personal promise that Domo Loco and Sons would handle these towers. No one knows what they are or where they came from, but I want them demolished. Now that's not too difficult a mission, is it?
Julius slowly opened his eyes and found that the president's personal hologram, not the one of his secretary, was still activated.
Wake up, Julius, and topple that tower.
As Julius started to say something, the hologram began to dissolve as quickly as it appeared. This game reminds me of that one app with the ball on the tower. You know the one I'm talking about? I'll throw a picture on the screen for those who don't know. I had a difficult time figuring out the hitboxes and timing at first and died like 20 times. But once you figure it out, it's a pretty solid game. This game was released under multiple different names, by the way, so if you haven't played this one but the game looks familiar, you probably played one of the others. Castle of Dragon. The Dragon Master, Dark Larza, has been laying siege to Opharia for 2 decades. King Boros has been forced to live in exile in the mountainous region of Menlary. Jaredin, Duke of Menlary, has successfully defended his castle from the hideous legions of the undead, but Dark Larza's forces are growing in numbers and confidence. King Boros has offered the hand of his lovely daughter, Princess Amarina, to Jaredin, but the Duke has vowed never to marry while Opharia is under the Dragon Master's control. Under the cover of darkness, Dark Larza's horde has assaulted Castle Menlary, a bold but futile attempt to seize the last stronghold of the living. As Jaredin is fighting his way to the Deathstalker leading the attack, he learns that the entire battle was only a diversion. Dragon Cub, the wicked offspring of Dark Larza, has dispatched the royal guards and kidnapped the princess, mortally wounding King Boros. Jaredin's fate is now clear. he must fight his way to Dark Larza Castle to do battle with the Dragon Master himself. But Dark Larza's power makes him virtually invincible. The Duke will need many items to help him defeat the Scourge on Opharia. The only thing that cannot be destroyed by the dragon's fiery breath are the scales that cover its body. The Dragon Master's dark magic is unbelievable. Part of his magical strength comes from a crystal ball that once belonged to Jaredon's mother, Opharia's greatest sorceress. Dark Larza also holds King Boros' golden suit of armor. The Duke will need this to protect himself from the crushing blows of the dragon's massive tail. Only one weapon in all of Opharia is strong enough to pierce the flesh of the Dragon Master. Even so, the Dragon Slayer is not long enough to do any damage except where the skin is the thinnest. Even after 20 years of fighting, Jaredon is still not ready to take on his arch enemy. Dark Larza knows this, and that is why he has stolen the princess. The Duke must now hope that the experience he gains in fighting his way to the castle will be enough to protect him from the Dragon Master's spells. There will be one experience that Jaredon cannot prepare himself for. Before he can face the Dark Lord, he must first face his most dangerous foe, himself. Most importantly, Jaredon needs your help to fight through the never-ending onslaught of the Legion of the Undead. It will be your skill and wisdom that will guide him through the perils that await. For Amarina, for the honor of the House of Menlery, for all of Opharia. To make a long story short, you play as a knight named Jaredon who embarks on a quest to rescue Princess Amarina from the evil dragon Dark Larza. This game mostly consists of sword-based combat, and is actually really good if you look past its clunky controls. The drawings in the manual are also top tier, some of the best I've seen so far. They look like that drawing Napoleon Dynamite did where he spent 2 hours on the shading on the upper lip. You know what I'm talking about? It also reminds me a lot of like a watered down version of Astiniacs, or whatever the fuck that game was called. This game also doesn't have a Wikipedia page for some reason. Usually when that's the case, it's just some like rare, obscure, niche Japanese game. All in all, 10 out of 10. It do be smacking though. Castle Quest. In the kingdom of Jokerina, a storm has been blowing for over a month. The tarot has shown that to stop the storm, the King of Magic, Baron, and his 24 lesser kings must be toppled from their thrones. You fight for the kind of Jokerina, moving soldiers and battling with magic until Gandhi is dead and peace is restored to the kingdom. Gandhi? Yanni? Laurel? This game is not in English, but I did find a translated ROM for it, thankfully. It's pretty hard to find any information about this game, considering there are 2 games named Castle Quest for the NES. But from what I can gather online, this game is like kind of like chess, but not exactly like chess. You know what I'm saying? Chess. You know what I'm saying? It also reminds me a lot of that one game we played a while ago. I can't remember the name, but the premise was similar. It was like chess with battle sequences. This one is better though. Castle Quest. Not to be confused with Castle Space Quest. This game's title does not have the space. Yeah, the combat in this game fucking sucks. Most games have wonky combat, but I can look past it because the game is, you know, half decent. But sometimes I just can't. I cannot. No matter when you time it, you can never hit an enemy with your sword and die instead. I'm not sure if this is a me problem or if it's a common occurrence, but it's super annoying to be dying over and over again when all they really had to do was make the sword 1 pixel longer. Anyways, the story according to the manual is: a long time ago in a faraway land, there lived a lovely young princess named Margarita. Jesus. Her beauty and grace was known throughout the land, especially to Mad Miser, the Dark Lord of the grim Groken Castle, high in the Forbidden Mountains. He had vowed to make the princess his queen, and so, one terrible day he sends his ghoulish helpers to capture her, and she was carried off and imprisoned in one of the 100 miserable rooms in Groken Castle. Who up Groken they worm right now? News of the kidnapping spread throughout the kingdom, and many courageous young men braved the perils of Groken Castle in an attempt to rescue the princess, only to become hopelessly lost in the complicated maze of rooms. ensnared in one of the many treacherous traps, or foiled by Mad Miser's deadly servants. Finally, the news reached the worthy Prince Raphael, who had long loved the princess from afar. Raising his sword to the heavens, Prince Raphael swore that nothing would keep him from her side, and set out on his castle quest. The odds against him seem hopeless, but legend has it that 2 magical fairies have been held captive in the castle for centuries. If the prince can find and release them to gain their help, he may yet succeed in his quest. And to rescue his fair princess, he is prepared to face the deadly wrath of the Dark Lord himself. Bro is stalking the princess. Bro is out in the trees with binoculars, groking his worm, stalking the princess. Yeah, she seems interested, King. Follow her home. She's into you, bro. Follow her home. Castlevania. Another iconic game that doesn't need much of an introduction, but for the sake of documenting them all, here goes. Good evening. Step into the shadows of the deadliest dwelling on Earth. You've arrived at Castlevania, and you're here on business to destroy forever the curse of the evil Count. Unfortunately, everybody's home this evening. Bats, ghosts, every kind of creature you can imagine. You'll find them all over the place if they don't find you first, because you've got to get through 6 monstrous floors before you even meet up with the master of the house. Your magic whip will help you, and you'll probably find a weapon or 2 along the way. But once you make it to the tower, you can count on a duel to the death. The Count has waited 100 years for a rematch. He's ready. Are you? In this game, players take the role of Simon Belmont, descendant of a legendary vampire hunter who enters the castle of Count Dracula to destroy him when he suddenly reappears 100 years after Simon's ancestors killed him. Is it just me, or does that make 0 fucking sense? I'm reading the script right now, and this is here, like there's no punctuation or anything. This is another one of those games that I go to play for like 20 minutes, but then get too invested in, and end up playing for like 2 hours instead. The controls are a bit stiff, but I'm used to that by now. I also got stuck on the Bat Boss for a considerable amount of time. I think what it really comes down to is practice and remembering patterns. It doesn't help me much, because I'm still shit at the majority of games, but still, for the average player, you'll get good. Get good, kid. You'll be cranking 90s at Castlevania. I also haven't really played this game as much as I probably should have before making the video. I remember back when I first found out about emulating, like years and years ago, I downloaded a bunch of homebrews for this game and played them, but not the original for some reason. Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. I don't know much, but what I will say is that the music in this game is absolutely bananas. Crank that Soulja Boy to the Castlevania 2 soundtrack. The second coming of Count Dracula. You're Simon Belmont, bravest of the brave, boldest of the bold, a Gothic warrior respected by kings. You earn your praise, not by crushing Viking invaders or Turkish hordes, but by destroying the evil Count Dracula in a duel to the death at Castlevania. But your victory proved painful, as the wounds inflicted during the duel slowly gnawed at your soul. One day, though, a beautiful maiden appeared. With a soft voice, she warned that you are possessed by the Count's curse. She said your only hope of destroying the curse and healing your scars was to find the 5 body parts of Count Dracula and burn them in his castle, ending forever the reign of the Prince of Darkness. Suddenly, like most beautiful visions, she began to fade, and as you reached to touch her, she spoke her final words. "Fear not, brave Simon, for you have the courage to risk your life. You will find the strength to win again." The game offers 3 possible endings based on the player's completion time, these being 1. The bad ending, which will happen if you beat the game in 15 days or more. Dracula's grave is shown and text appears telling you that the battle was consummated. Now peace and serenity have been restored to Transylvania and the people are free of Dracula's curse forever. And you, Simon Belmont, will always be remembered for your bravery and courage. 2. The normal ending, which happens if you beat the game in 8 to 14 days. Simon kneels by Dracula's grave and text appears telling you that Although the confrontation between Simon and Dracula was concluded, Simon couldn't survive his fatal wounds. Transylvania's only hope is a young man who will triumph over evil and rid the city of Dracula's deadly curse. And 3. The good ending, which will happen if you beat the game in 7 days or less. Simon kneels by Dracula's grave, and text appears telling you that the encounter with Dracula is terminated. Simon Belmont has put an end to the eternal darkness in Transylvania. His blood and sweat have penetrated the earth and will induce magic and happiness for those who walk on this land. Simon walks away from the grave. Later that night, Dracula's grave begins to rumble and his hand pushes through the dirt. The classic horror movie trope. You kill the bad guy, you bury him, and then his hand busts through the dirt, making you think there's going to be a sequel. You know what I'm saying? Make you think there's going to be a poopy, a number 2. All in all, a pretty solid game. Pretty much a refined version of the first. Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. It's a cursed world we live in. The time is 100 years before Simon Belmont's birth. The moon burns red overhead, and black clouds loom large on the horizon. All is still and quiet. Only the call of a distant crow stirs the cold night air. Suddenly, thunder roars out of the morbid mountains and into the village of
Warakaya.
Like the yell of an angry giant, the terrible sound shakes homes and shops as if they were sapling branches. But no one blinks an eye. The village is dead calm. For all the people have fled after receiving warnings from the great beyond that Count Dracula has assembled a mighty army of evil, and they're poised to march up from the Valley of Graveyards to bury mankind in a tomb of terror. Unfortunately, there's no corner on Earth that won't be gobbled up by this bloodthirsty legion of swamp dragons, slasher skeletons, and forces of the undead. The last line of defense is you, Trevor Belmont, the forefather of Simon Belmont and the origin of the Belmont Warlord chromosomes. Belmont Warlord chromosomes. Come on, man. You can't make this shit up. But your chances are slimmer than Jim. Bro, this is actually in the manual, by the way. Belmont Warlord chromosomes, but your chances are slimmer than Jim. In fact, the only real edge you have over this fang-sharpened freak is your power to transform into 3 different partner spirits. Grant Dynasty. That's what me and your mom do. I grant your mom Dynasty. Grant Dynasty, the ferocious ghost pirate, Sypha, the mystic warlord, and Alucard, Dracula's forgotten son. Each of these spirits will confront you as you fight through 17 possible levels of never-ending fright, including the haunted ship of fools, the clock of untimely death, and Cursed Castle. You must also possess the strength to wield the mighty battle axe and mystic whip, which were given to you by the Poltergeist King. So go forth, young Trevor, into the cold black night, where death lurks around every corner and evil lingers on every stone. And remember, if your courage and cunning are any less than magnificent, or if you fail to choose the correct paths of fate, you'll be banished to the world of the undead, and zombies will rule until the end of time. So, Castlevania hit us with the Star Wars approach, gave us the middle end bit first, and then rewinded a little bit and gave us the beginning. You know what I'm saying? If we're being honest, this is the best of the 3. We can fight about it. Just send me your address and I will book a flight immediately and we will fight to the death in front of your family. It's still kind of clunky, but it feels a lot better to play. It's like Legos versus Mega Bloks, you know? Like they're both fun in their own way, but one is better. This game also takes a different approach graphically. I can't put it into words, but if you look at the 3 games side by side, you'll understand what I'm saying. I also forgot to mention how cool the manuals for these games were. Tons of drawings and information. Goddamn, man, am I ever a sucker for a well put together manual. Bring it back, fellas. Whatever happened. I remember when like the old Call of Duties, off topic, but I remember when the old Call of Duties would come out, you'd go to like a store, like a Walmart or something, and there'd be like strategy guides and shit. It was cool. That's what it was. Caveman Games. In the dawn of time, primitive cavemen roamed the earth, along with some pretty gnarly creatures. Not that cavemen weren't pretty gnarly themselves. They weren't real smart. They were actually pretty stupid. They had no sense of fashion, mostly because there were no malls to shop at, and they looked like a cross between a gorilla and the ugliest person you know, aka your mom. For them, survival was a full-time job. But as always, there were some party animals in the bunch. It was a rebel mob of cavemen that decided to turn the dangers of everyday life into a competition to find the best athletes of the tribe. They called it Caveman Games. 6 top cave athletes competing in 6 grueling events. It's party time in Caveland, and you're invited. This game is basically it's a caveman Olympics that consists of a series of minigames that are caveman spins on Olympic sports, like mate toss, where you throw your mate as far as you can, fire making, where you make fire, dino race, where you race dinos, saber race, where you race sabers, and clubbing, where you fight another caveman to death with a club, and dino vault, where you vault over a dinosaur. Looks like it was made in MS Paint, and at this point I wouldn't be surprised if it actually was. Clacken Pop. This game puts players in the role of Mr. Clacken, who must rescue all of the hearts that were stolen during a hot and steamy romance session between him and Miss Clacken. You must toss bombs to kill enemies as well as break the cage that the hearts are being stored in. You can also walk on the ceiling if it's within reach. Once all hearts are captured, the exit to the stage opens and enemies spawn from what looks like light bulbs on the ceiling. This is where bombing them comes into play, but I prefer to just gun it past them to avoid killing myself with my own bombs. I couldn't find the manual to this game, but from what I can gather online, the story goes a little something like this. Jealous of the love between Mr. Clacken and Miss Clacken, the Mida wizards construct a plan to steal their love and break them apart. They use monsters to capture their hearts, and Mr. Clacken must chase after them to retrieve the hearts in order to reunite him with his love and restore their relationship. The monsters will attempt to stop Czech as he makes his way through 14 mazes in an effort to free the hearts from the cages with his bombs. Challenger. Basically, it's like a prehistoric temple run. You run along the top of a train and throw knives to kill enemies and avoid obstacles. The plot follows a little fella, let's name him Challenger, who is an archaeologist living in a land called Plesio Land, where he needs to rescue the Princess Maria from the hands of the evil boss. That's pretty much it. The classic save the princess plotline. You can never get enough. Championship Bowling is a bowling game. It's actually really fun. Reminds me of like Wii Bowling. But then again, I think any bowling game would remind me of Wii Bowling, so... Championship Lode Runner. This game doesn't seem to have a plot, though it's a sequel to a game released in 1983 simply called Lode Runner. The objective of the game is to pick up all the gold pieces, which look like piles of sand. You also have this wand zapper that allows you to destroy pieces of brick to help you travel through the level. There are also enemies that are placed throughout the level that will kill you if you come in contact with them, but you can walk on their heads. It took me a little while to figure that out, so I was stuck at the beginning of the first level for a little bit. Once I figured it out, it was smooth sailing. You can also choose which level you would like to play, which is nice to have in games like this, especially if they don't have password systems. Know what I'm saying? Championship Pool. I know this is going to be a little bit hard for some of you to hear, and it's not easy to believe, so please take a seat. This is, I don't know how to tell you this, a pool game. It's a pool game. Shh. Championship Rally is a racing game. Chaos World. I couldn't find the manual for this game, but it wouldn't make much of a difference seeing as the game isn't in English. The only reason my gameplay is in English is because I tracked down a translated ROM, but from what I can gather from the internet and dialogue from the game, the plot goes something like this. The king's daughter is seriously ill and the kingdom is plagued by monsters. The king needs you, the offspring of a brave warrior, Mars, to go on a journey and to investigate the matter. During this investigation, you uncover a much more sinister plot and must face the dark forces of the world. I couldn't get too deep into this game because I kept dying and ended up sinking way too much time into it. This game is actually really cool. I know I say it a lot, but there just be some cool games. Come on, dog. I also don't think I've ever heard this game spoken about, but that's probably because it was only released in Japan. This game allows you to customize your character by choosing one of several classes, gender, and statistics. When you first create your character, the game gives you a handful of skill points that you can spend on whichever category you'd like. The combat is much like Pokemon, where you select which action you'd like to make, like fighting, planning, or fleeing. You also spawn into a city at the beginning of the game, and once you've proven yourself worthy of saving the king's daughter by defeating an enemy in a duel arena, the king gives you 100 gold points, which you can spend in various shops around the city. Up to 14 people can join your party, and you can recruit people in the Adventurers Guild. Worth a try if you're a fan of RPGs and have nothing better to do. Maybe you take a break from fucking playing RuneScape or something. The Chess Master is a chess game. I don't know how to play chess. I'm sorry to let you down, so I can't really give you much, but you get the gist of it.
Chesterfield, Ankoku Shinyi no Chosen.
This game is not in English, but I did find a translated ROM. Hallelujah. Shouts out to everybody out there making translated ROMs. Obviously the manual will be no good, so I didn't even bother looking for it. From what I can gather online, the story goes a little something like this. I'm also assuming that this was translated because it seems pretty broken English, so bear with me. Once upon a time there was the kingdom of Goldred that was reigned by Gulls. All his glory brought peace and joy to people. One day, the assassination of Gulls changed the land of peace into the battleground that was plotted by General Guman. It was the critical moment of the Goldred kingdom. Under the circumstances, Gazim, an old knight, advised Queen Lisa and Princess Karen to ask Backvisor for help. Backvisor was King Gulls' old friend, who lived in the island of Chesterfield. Liza and Karen decided to go there with Gazim. On their way to the island, unfortunately, their ship was attacked by Guman's men. Gazim fought bravely against the pirates in vain. He got badly wounded and Liza was killed. And what is worse, Princess Karen was imprisoned somewhere in the island of Chesterfield. The wounded knight drifted to the island, where he was treated by a young man named Keen. Gazim, however, breathed his last, and after he told Keen all of his story. He told Keen what happened and he died. He took his last breath. There you go. That's what that meant. Deeply moved by his story, Keen decided to go on a journey to reconstruct the Goldred Kingdom. He had to rescue Princess Karen from the hand of the enemy and to fight against Guman. And then the story of the young knight was beginning with the island of Chesterfield. I mean, the game was alright. The problem that I ran into was that I played the first level, got to the boss, died, and then had to start all over again. This is fine, I'm used to it by now. It's just kind of annoying when you play a level, conserve as much health as possible, and then boom, the boss kicks your ass, and you need to start all over again. All a part of the challenge, I suppose. It's just the level is really repetitive and doesn't pose much of a challenge. You picking up what I'm putting down?
Chibi Maruko-chan, Yuki Shopping.
It's based on the popular manga series
Chibi Maruko-chan, created by Momoko Sakura.
Man, the amount of digging I had to do to find literally anything about this game. 1, it isn't in English. 2, I did not get to play it. But I did find some real sketchy websites to tell me all I need to know about this game. The gameplay revolves around Maruko and her adventures in a shopping district, where players can engage in mini-games, interact with strangers, and experience light-hearted scenarios from the
Chibi Maruko-chan world.
The premise is to travel the map to reach a certain landmark before all of the others, all while buying souvenirs at these locations along the way. The gameplay and general concept is simple, with the inclusion of special cards you can receive to affect others or yourself. In addition to gaining yen, You can also gain happiness points, which you gain by buying souvenirs and sending them home to enjoy. TLDR, this is one of those board games.
Chisana Abaka Achi, Koki, Soki.
Another one of those games that aren't in English. So all the information I found on it was from the internet, so forgive me if there's any errors. This game is based on the children's anime.
Chisana Abaka Achi, Koki, Soki.
In the game, you play as 3 different ghost siblings. Each ghost has a distinct ability which players must use to navigate through the various levels filled with enemies and obstacles. I booted this game up for a few minutes, and the best that I can explain the gameplay is that a Frosty the Snowman looking fella has a rope around him and must circle squares with an apple inside of them, and once you do that, a frowny face will appear. Rinse repeat until the level is finished. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. I'm sure if you're familiar with the anime, you know what's going on, but for those of us who aren't, that's the best explanation I can give. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. The story, according to the manual, is the Rescue Rangers have been assembled once again to help a friend in need. Their neighbor Mandy has lost her kitten and she doesn't know where to begin looking. There have been some unusual sightings in town of mechanical bulldogs and robotic rats. Can the Rescue Rangers' enemy, Fat Cat, be up to his old tricks again? Some of the items you can acquire on your journeys are the flowers, which give you 1-up for every 50 you collect, stars, which give you a 1-up for every 10 you collect, a 1-up star, which gives you a 1-up, acorns, which let you replenish health, crates that you can pick up and throw or hide inside of, steel boxes, which can be picked up and placed to be used as platforms, and black balls, which are bombs. I don't know why they went with black balls instead of bombs, but your guess is as good as mine. There's also a mighty-fying cast of enemies, such as mechanical bulldogs and robotic rats. Don't get too close to these walking tin cans. Buzzer, beware of the stinger on this bad bee. Buzz Bomb, Buzzer's quick-tempered cousin. Popper Mouse, watch out for his party favors. Racket Roo, this kangaroo launches tennis balls. Ditz, these crazy-looking characters can turn into Chip or Dale. Hawk Bomber, this bird of prey drops explosive charges. Rhino Rider, look out for this charging brute. Wart, this nasty lizard throws his hat your way. And Fat Cat, the big boss man in town. Speaking of fat cats, your mom, got him. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers 2. The Rescue Rangers catch a news report stating that a bomb has been set to explode at a local restaurant. At once, Chip, Dale, Gadget, Monterey Jack, and Zipper set off to defuse the explosive before it goes off. While there, they manage to corner the rabbit responsible for setting the bomb, who admits that it was the Fat Cat who ordered him to do it, so he can steal a relic called the Urn of the Pharaoh from a docked cargo ship. The Rangers give chase to the docks. After a search of the ship turns up nothing, Zipper then spots Fat Cat running into a warehouse. Chip and Dale follow him inside, but are ambushed and are locked in a refrigerator to freeze. Though the chipmunks escape in time, Fat Cat opens the urn and releases the evil spirits contained within. As the warehouse fills with ghosts, Chip and Dale manage to retrieve the urn and seal it up again. Fat Cat then challenges the Rescue Rangers to meet him at the amusement park for a final showdown. After navigating through the attractions, Chip and Dale unlock the door to the control room, where Fat Cat attacks them with a giant robot modeled after himself. Once it's destroyed, Chip and Dale go after Fat Cat while the ceiling begins to collapse, but are unable to find him and are forced to escape. Reunited, the Rescue Rangers swear that they'll stop Fat Cat the next time he shows up. This game pretty much refines everything about the first one in every single way. Much of the same gameplay and mechanics, but better. Sometimes things got a bit cluttered, and it was hard for me to pinpoint exactly what was going on. Like, for example, what is a platform and what isn't a platform? Other than that, the game is pretty S tier. Like, there's enemies that will hit the boxes that you throw at them back and temporarily stun you. So you must wait until their back is turned so you can throw the box in order to stun them, and then throw another to actually kill him. Although there was another enemy that looks pretty much exactly the same, that threw forks instead. So sometimes I'd get confused and take damage. None of that makes any sense, so moving on.
Chiyo no Fuji no Oicho.
Not in English, but this is a sumo wrestling game. You should have told me your mom had a video game made about her. Choplifter. In Choplifter, the player assumes the role of a combat helicopter pilot. The player attempts to save hostages being held in prisoner of war camps in territory ruled by the evil Bungling Empire. Is that how you pronounce that? Most definitely not. The player must collect the hostages and transport them safely to the nearby friendly base, all the while fighting off hostile tanks and other enemy combatants. According to the backstory, the helicopter parts were smuggled into the country described as mail sorting equipment. This game was pretty wonky to play. It was easy to lose track of what was going on and get confused. There's also a feature to turn your helicopter around by holding A button, and if you stop in the middle of turning around, you drop bombs instead of firing projectiles. I didn't get too far because I kept dying. I ended up finding the strat of flying to the top of the screen and gunning it, while also spamming the shoot button. I still died, but I made it a lot further than what I did before.
Chojiku Yos Macross
is a side-scrolling space shooter based on the popular anime series of the same name, of which I know absolutely nothing about. What is cool though is the fact that you can change between 3 different forms. One is a jet that shoots 1 bullet at a time, another is also a jet, but I guess you equipped an extra gun because you can hold the shoot button and rapid fire, and the last is a transformer looking type fella that also rapid fire shoots with what I assume is a machine gun. There's also somewhat of an ultimate ability that you can use by pressing select. I found a lot of information about this game on the internet, but I think in order to understand it, you need to be familiar with the anime, so I'll just leave it at that. If all else fails, at least the cover art is awesome.
Chojineeai Jetman.
The plot for this game follows the general storyline of the
Chojineeai Jetman
TV series. In the Jetman universe, Earth is under threat from an evil interdimensional organization called Vyram, whose goal is to conquer Earth and destroy humanity. To counter this threat, the Earth's defense force creates the Birdonic Wave, an energy that grants people superhuman powers and turns them into powerful Jetman warriors. However, during the experiment, Vyram attacks the space station where the Birdonic waves are being generated, and only Ryu Tendo becomes a full-fledged Jetman. The rest of the Birdonic waves are accidentally scattered across Earth, where they randomly empower 4 civilians, turning them into the remaining members of the Jetman team. Pretty fun platformer. You can choose from one of 5 characters with different abilities and an ultimate ability of sorts, which from each character I played seems to wipe every enemy on the screen. You can also choose which order in which you want to play the levels, which is always a nice feature. The levels are side-scrolling, shooting, machete type shits, but at the end of each stage there is a boss battle that is more of a, let's just say, a fighting game where you button mash to curb stomp the ever-living shit out of the boss man. You also have a power bar that builds up and allows you to use an ability by pressing the pause button. Also, yes, before you ask, as far as my research goes, Power Rangers is related. And also, I will be adding this to the list of the best games that I've played. Chubby Cherub. Chubby Cherub, a sweet little angel, enjoys eating and loves to help people. But life is never so simple. There are many obstacles he has to overcome before being able to enjoy some delicious food or partake in exciting adventures. Dogs are always trying to bite him. Birds continually peck at him. And when flying, he often gets covered with puffs of smoke from the chimneys. Even attempts to rescue a friend held hostage are thwarted when a burglar throws firecrackers at Chubby Cherub. And all of these keep happening all the time. It's enough to get Chubby Cherub down, but with you at the controls, Chubby Cherub can prevail over anything or anyone who hinders him with helping a pal or eating a succulent shish kebab. Make Chubby Cherub's day a great one. He's depending on you. Essentially, you are a Chubby Cherub, and your only enemies are dogs and birds and burglars for some reason. And your goal is to collect fruits and other foods placed throughout the level in order to progress. There is an attack option, which are hearts, but you can run out. And there is a way to regenerate it, but I couldn't seem to find out what it was. Sometimes I'd click the button and you'd shoot, and other times you didn't. There are also dogs that bark projectiles at you, and they are near impossible to hit and annoying. So for the most part, I just avoid them as much as possible.
Chugoku Jansi Story, Tanpu.
It's a mahjong game. Apparently there's a loose story, but that's all it really comes down to.
Chugoku Sensei Juts
Is a fortune-telling game. It uses Eastern mysticism to prognosticate on the player's fortune based on their year of birth. Apparently this was the first game for the Famicom that did this. This game would allow you to receive your fortune for particular parts of your life, like romance, the best time to marry your partner, and the outcome of future business dealings, etc.
Chuka Taisen.
Also known as Cloudmaster, the player controls a character named Mike Chen, who floats on a cloud and shoots balls of energy at flying enemies. You can collect power-ups that improve your weapon, as well as visit shops to purchase power-ups. I couldn't find the NES manual, but this game was released for multiple consoles, so I'll just give you the story from the Sega Master System version. The story of Michael Chen. Back when the Earth was young, there was a mysterious hermit named Michael Chen, who rode the wind on a cloud-like chariot. He had meditated deep in the mountainous regions of central China for many years, and had grown powerful with the knowledge of the ancients. With luck and a little more study, he hoped to gain the title of Cloud Master, which would make him a powerful mystic instead. But dark forces conspired against the young hermit, and attacked him one after the other, trying to interfere with his all-important studies. Help Michael Chen wipe out these evil powers and assist him in becoming a Cloud Master. I have no clue what's going on in this game, except for the fact that bowls of noodles pose a threat for some reason. Circus Caper. This game has some weird shit going on in its opening cutscene. So this kid and his sister are hanging outside of just loitering around a fucking circus because they can't afford tickets. No big deal, right? No harm, no foul. Call it a loss, you go home. But then the sketchy clown is all like, "Hey yo, come here kids. I'm gonna roll these dice, and if you win, you get to go in for free." So they win, and the clown only has one ticket. So this boy leaves his little sister at the entrance, and they both agree to meet there again once the circus is over. Kind of a dick move, but... And so the circus ends, and the boy goes back outside to meet his sister, but this magic man is there, and he's all like, "Yo doggy, I kidnapped your sister, El Bozo." So then this boy must re-enter the circus and try to save his sister from, you know, clowns and shit, I guess. I didn't get far into this, but apparently at the end, the little girl tells her brother that she was going to be used as a knife-throwing target, and then the two go home. I didn't find this game very good, but according to Google, people are pretty fond of it. Circus Charlie is a game where you play as a circus clown named Charlie. Basically, you just do things that a clown would do in a circus. I don't know how else to explain it. City Adventure Touch, Mystery of Triangle. This game, for the most part, isn't in English, so I couldn't possibly begin to tell you what's going on, but according to Google, the twin brothers and their neighbor get sucked into an alternate dimension while chasing after the twins' dog, Punch. Now they have to find a way to return back to their normal home world. The player takes control of twin brothers, while also having the ability to switch between them by pressing select. You walk up and down the streets in a Mario is missing type of way, while fighting off strange looking enemies, and cars, and planes, and balls. There are also what I assume to be shops that you can stop into, but I couldn't get any information because the game was not in English. City Connection. The story. You're on the run. You've broken into an exclusive paint store in New York City. You're carrying leaking 10-gallon cans of paint. Now the cops are after you. You must drive over every mile on the highways in New York City before you can catch the boat to England. From there, you go on a tour of the world, trying to avoid the police and leaking paint all over. Your only defense: pick up oil cans left on the highway and shoot them at police cars. Send police cars into a spin and knock them off the road. Yeah, such a weird premise for a game, but I'll take it. At one point, there's a cat that appears that can just automatically end your run for some reason. I don't know. I mean, it's not terrible. I had some fun, had some good times, a little bit of good times, a little bit of Monica in my life. I just can't wrap my head around robbing a paint store, you know? Why couldn't you pick like a bank or a jewelry store? Clash at Demon Head. In the year 1990X, a secret command, Saber Tiger, is engaged in a savage war with the Demon's Battalion. The Saber Tiger's youngest leader, Bang, played a very large role in the fight to the admiration of his fellow commanders. After the completion of one campaign, Bang and his girlfriend Mary are enjoying a long-awaited vacation at the beach. Suddenly, they receive an urgent communication from headquarters. It reads emergency code number 2568623. The inventor of the Doomsday Bomb, Professor Plum, is being held by the enemy atop Demon Head Mountain, and it appears that the world is doomed unless Earth surrenders. If the bomb explodes, the Earth will be a dead planet. A mass attack on Demon Head is impossible, for the enemy vows to detonate the bomb on sight. Our colleague, Joe, has failed to return from a reconnaissance mission. Bang. Only you can rescue Professor Plum and save the planet. Now you've got to get to Demon's Head Mountain at once. In the ruins on Demon Head, there dwells a fearsome demon that has terrified generations of people. Band and Bang alone must set out on a daredevil mission to these unknown lands and seek to rescue Plum and deactivate the Doomsday Bomb. As Bang sets off on his perilous journey to destroy the Demon's Battalion, Mary must remain behind, deeply concerned for his life. This game is like a dollar store Mega Man. I don't know how else to put it. Clash at Demon Head is a non-linear platformer that offers an open-ended experience. Players control Billy Big Bang Blitz, who can run, jump, and shoot. Initially equipped with a handgun, Billy can upgrade his arsenal by purchasing new weapons from a shop, including a boomerang gun. As the game progresses, he gains additional powers by collecting Force, which allow him to shrink, teleport to previously visited areas, fly, heal, and become invincible. The game is divided into several smaller stages, each corresponding to a point on the overworld map. With over 40 different routes to explore, players can choose their path and backtrack to revisit stages, making exploration a key part of progressing through the game. There's also a band in Scott Pilgrim with the same name, or something like that. I don't really know. While I was researching, that is the conclusion that I came to. Classic Concentration is based on a TV show, and the manual for this game is just a bunch of boring technical nonsense, and so is just about every other summary of this game that I can find online. So I'll explain in a very dumbed down version. You start off with a matching game. You select two numbers. What you could win is revealed, but in order to win it, you must match it with the other one. Once the background is visible, you have to guess what it is saying. It's like a riddle type thing. For example, my puzzle's answer was Tony Dorsett, so the image was a toe, plus a knee, plus a door, plus an S, plus a hat. Obviously, these puzzles are somewhat dated, and I had no clue who Tony Dorsett was, so I just straight up Googled Tony Doors hat and wished for the best because the computer I was playing against was a little too good for my liking. Cliffhanger. Yeah, this game is annoying, very clunky. It wasn't too bad until I made it to a level where I had to climb the side of a cliff, all while being bombarded by falling boulders, which wouldn't be too hard. But once you reach the top of the screen, I swear, getting to the platform which leads you to the exit is damn near impossible. This game is based on the 1993 film of the same name starring Sylvester Stallone. I don't think I've ever seen it, but I can imagine it's much better than the NES adaptation. The plot goes something like this. A group of terrorists attempting to hijack a treasury plane mid-air to steal its money is shot down by an FBI aircraft. The terrorists survive and send out a distress signal, which is intercepted by Gabe, the main character. Unaware that the mayday is coming from the criminals, Gabe responds and heads to the crash site. Upon arrival, the terrorists capture Gabe's partner, Hal, like Hal from Malcolm in the Middle, and take him hostage. To save Hal, Gabe must embark on a dangerous mission to recover the stolen money. I'd read you the manual, but it really doesn't give you much. Clue Clue Land. This game follows the adventures of a character named Bubbles, a fish-like creature who navigates an underwater maze. The main objective is to reveal hidden gold bars by guiding Bubbles around the maze and using poles to rotate the grid sections. The players must avoid various enemies and obstacles while collecting the bars, which are arranged in patterns that require strategy to uncover. This game sounds really complicated, and it is a little complicated to play, I'm not gonna lie, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. The enemies are always getting in the way, the time limit is absurd. I could just be terrible at it, but I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I did not pass the first stage. I think the real strategy is to find a nice path that reveals the most gold bars and repeat. Cobra Command. The most advanced Cobra attack helicopter ever built is at your command, ready to take the skies on a daring rescue mission. You'll fly alone into a deadly no man's land where enemy choppers, tanks, soldiers, cannons, and warships are all aiming to blast you out of the sky. Helpless hostages are counting on you to rescue them as you make your way to enemy headquarters for your final assault. This game is just a regular old side-scrolling shooter. Sometimes it's hard to tell what is the background and what will kill you if you touch it, but for the most part, it isn't that big of an issue. You have two options: shoot your gun or launch missiles at the enemies while also saving hostages, which is done by them appearing, a rope lowering from your helicopter, and you swooping them up. I got to a part of the first level where I kept dying, so I got fed up and just held the right button, stayed at the top of the screen and spam shot bullets. Worked out pretty good too, surprisingly. The game also allows you to tank a few bullets as well before you die, which is always appreciated. Head-on collisions or running into the foreground, on the other hand, is an insta-kill. Cobra Triangle is a top-down action racing game that combines high-speed boat combat with various challenging missions and objectives. Players control a boat called the Cobra Triangle and face off against enemy boats, hazardous obstacles, and other threats while navigating through different water environments. As basic as a concept as this game is, it's actually really well made and fun. Just a bunch of violent boat minigames. Kokoron. You are brought into a world of dreams by a dancing tapir named Tapir, who says he is a wizard who creates dreams for people. Creating an adventurous dream, he informs you that Princess Rua has been kidnapped by evil forces, and you, being the hero, are the only one who can save her, and that you can take any form your heart desires in order to do so. However, what starts as a simple save the princess plot becomes a lot more once you realize the truth of the dream world. I think this game had the potential to be up there, to be really awesome, but kind of fumbled. You create a character while choosing your hero type, your special ability, and your attack option, which determines how heavy you are and how much HP you have. I didn't get too far into it because, if I'm being honest, I got bored. Take a shot every time I say "if I'm being honest" or "basically" or "this game." The opening of this game made me think that this was going to be like top 10 games for the NES, but then you start playing and boom. It isn't bad by any means. I've played a lot worse. I mean, a lot worse. Just put it this way. It's like getting socks and underwear for Christmas as a kid, It's good. It's a good gift. It's a solid gift, but you would rather get a PlayStation. See what I'm saying? Codename Viper. The player assumes the role of Kenny Smith, codename Viper, an elite agent of the 98th Special Forces. Tasked by his superior, Commander Jones, Smith must infiltrate a vast drug syndicate operating across South America. His mission is to rescue a missing agent from each of the syndicate's 7 hideouts while uncovering crucial clues that will reveal the identity of the true mastermind behind the operation. This game reminds me a lot of Home Alone 2 on the SNES. Players can choose between 2 weapons, a pistol or a machine gun. Items include ammo, health, time extensions, and extra lives. In the first 7 stages, players must rescue captured civilians and commandos. Each rescued commando provides grenades to clear obstacles and advance the plot. It's really just a dollar store Contra.
Columbus, Ogan no Yoke.
The game's story is divided into different stages of Columbus's life. It begins with his early years, followed by his time exploring Europe as a young adult. During this phase, he gains experience and completes missions for kings to build his fame. Finally, the game follows Columbus as he sets sail to find a new route to Asia, ultimately discovering the New World. Throughout the game, Columbus sails around Europe, visiting port towns where he can purchase equipment, stock up on supplies, and interact with locals. However, exploration, whether on land or at sea, can lead to battles. Combat is turn-based with an added layer of strategy, as players must position Columbus to get within range of their enemies. Think like Pokemon with a twist. Eventually, Columbus can hire 2 crewmen to assist in these battles. The game features 2 modes, normal mode and historical mode. In historical mode, time is a critical factor as players must complete the game before the year 1493 begins. Time progresses with every step Columbus takes. There is also a practice mode where players can try sailing route missions by varying difficulty levels. This game wasn't in English. I just stumbled upon a translated ROM. Color a Dinosaur is a coloring game where you color dinosaurs. Pretty much it. Commando. Every time I tried to research this game, all the results I could find were for Bionic Commando, a game we've already played some time ago. The player assumes the role of a soldier named Super Joe, who begins his mission being dropped into a jungle by a helicopter and must battle his way out alone, defending against a relentless onslaught of enemy troops. I also found a spot in the game where enemy soldiers just kept jumping off the same cliff, so I just sat there for a minute, running up the scoreboard. You have a machine gun as well as grenades. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Also, the enemies spawn in at an alarming rate. There's literally 0 chance of you killing off enemies before a new wave spawns in. Imagine you were playing like Call of Duty Zombies, and for every zombie you killed, 5 zombies spawned in. It's just, too much. Conan, The Mysteries of Time. Yeah, this game fucking actually sucks. This game is actually garbage. At first, I thought I downloaded the wrong version or something, but no, this is the actual game. I literally played for like 5 minutes, if even, and quit. Now, I understand that these games were released on the NES, so they're not going to be like AAA top 10 games of all time, Last of Us Black Ops 2 by any means, but this game was released in 1991. I've played games that were released in like 1985 that were better than this, that were 1,000 times better than this. The manual is also like a novel, like an encyclopedia. And to be honest, I just can't be fucked. I cannot be bothered to read it all. So I'm just gonna give you what I just blatantly ripped from Wikipedia. On one night, the titular Conan, who seeks the throne of Aquilonia, is informed of a legend by a mysterious old man named Nemanius popping out of a campfire. There are 4 urns of the kingdom's early kings which had vanished from their location in the crypt of Kahala, and that whoever returns these urns shall gain the throne. Depending on which machine you play this on, the story is different, but the gameplay stays the same, unfortunately. Conflict is a turn-based war game. That's pretty much the gist of it. Nothing too crazy. You capture towns and win battles and gain fame points that can be used to purchase better equipment. Conquest of the Crystal Palace. 15 years ago, the Crystal Palace was a thriving kingdom. The people of the Crystal Palace prospered and all things great and small were treated equal. During this time lived a kind and gentle ruler who encouraged people to be honest and fair. His name was Bretor. Bretor was famous throughout the world for his achievements. The king's wife, Queen Zyla, gave birth to a son. His name was Prince Pharaon. Tales of this kingdom spread far and near, and people soon flocked to the Crystal Palace seeking citizenship. The kingdom of the Crystal Palace became very populated with people of all races. One day, as a Dysonian man was telling a group of people about the Crystal Palace, Xeris, an evil war spirit of the East, became interested in the story. Xeris was a terrible war spirit of the 20th century with great power. Xeris was capable of taking any shape or form and was thought to be indestructible. Xeris appeared one day and simulated an army of evil guardians who eventually took control of the Crystal Palace. King Bretor was eliminated in a flash, and so was Queen Zyla. The people of the Crystal Palace were transported to the stars and areas of the sky not seen before. Eventually, there were only two people left for Xeris to deal with, Prince Pharaon and Zapolis, the palace guardian and keeper. Pharaon was transformed into a 6-month-old baby, and Zapolis was turned into a dog. Pharaon called him Zap. The Crystal Palace became an evil lair of mazes and chambers filled with goons and henchmen of Xeris' imagination. Zap watched over Pharaon and ensured his safety. When Pharaon turned 15 years old, he and Zap set out for the Crystal Palace. Their goal and your challenge is to restore the peace and unity once felt by people before the conquest of the Crystal Palace. On your journey, you can run into Kim, the shopkeeper who sells things such as herbs which heal you, things to regenerate your energy, and upgrades such as a super jump or a fireball you can shoot at enemies, etc. It wasn't too hard to get money, so I just stockpiled as much as I could and then just bought everything she had to offer. You can also spawn in Zap, the dog, at any time. All in all, this is a pretty solid game. Helps remove Conan from our memories. Reminds me of like Adventure Island. Contra. Only the strong survive. In 1957, a large object from outer space crashed into Earth's Amazon basin near ruins of the lost Mayan civilization. Scientists worldwide heralded the incident as a trivial cosmic occurrence, and thus the collision was soon forgotten. Now, 30 years later, rumors of an evil force has swept the Pentagon's front office, and tales from frightened villagers of a hideous being with an army of alien henchmen are sending chills down the spines of top military brass. Unwilling to upset current political stability, an all-out assault on the region has been overruled, and instead 2 of America's most cunning, courageous, and ruthless soldiers from the Special Forces Elite Commando Squad have been selected to seek out and destroy these alien intruders. Congratulations, pal, you're one of the chosen. Before you take pride in being the best, be warned. You're about to come face to face against Red Falcon, the cruelest life form in the galaxy. He arrived on Earth 30 years ago, 6 months' time in alien life, to establish a foothold from which he will attempt to conquer our world, and then use it as a stepping stone toward his ultimate fiendish goal, domination of the entire universe. Needless to say, playing hero won't be easy, but you have no choice. You must be a hero because if you fail, life as we know it will cease to exist and the vile Red Falcon will rule forever. If you succeed, well, it doesn't matter because I doubt you will. The heroes you and a friend can play as are Lance, codename Scorpion, and Bill, codename Mad Dog. Being an elite commando in Special Forces takes a special breed of hero. You need the cunning of a lion, the spirit of a Viking warrior, and the intelligence of a modern-day field general. Only after these qualities are soaked into your soul can you stand a ghost of a chance saving humanity from the inhumane Red Falcon. There are also a bunch of power-ups you can collect along the way. Most of these result in an upgrade to your weapon. There are no description for these, and they all have the same icon, so I'll just throw an image on the screen for you to skim over. A timeless classic, actually tons of fun, albeit hard and frustrating at times. I will be adding this to the list of the best NES games we've played thus far. Got a little stuck on the second level because it's a weird perspective and takes a minute to get used to. It's like an 8-bit army of two. I think it was more so just difficult to line up where the bullets were going, but once you get the hang of it, it's smooth sailing. Not really, but bazinga. Contra Force. While it carries the Contra name, it's not a true sequel to the original Contra games and features a very different style. Instead of alien invasions, the plot focuses on a special task force battling a crime syndicate in a modern urban setting. It is the third game in the series following Contra and Super Contra. You play as one of 4 characters: Burns, Iron, Smith, or Beans, each with unique weapons and abilities. The game features single-player and 2-player modes and include both side-scrolling and overhead stages. Unlike traditional Contra games, it has a slower pace, selectable characters, and a limited power-up system. I'm not sure if it's an emulator issue or a game issue, but the game is super choppy almost any time an enemy is on the screen. It also does this weird thing where the screen locks, and you're like, how do I say this? The screen locks and only moves when you are on the very far right of the screen. Obviously, this poses an issue because enemies spawn in, or there'll be a pit you can fall into and die, so you need to like back up into the center of the screen again for it to scroll normally. Think like those auto-scrolling levels in Super Mario World, where you like run into the right of the screen thinking it's going faster, but it's really not, versus a normal level where the screen moves when you move. The story, according to the manual, is Showdown with DNME. Neo City, not long ago, voted most livable city in the US, has fallen into the hands of DNME, a moral scum whose reign of terror has left no one untouched. In their most recent caper, DNME has captured the city's chief commissioner. His only hope is C-Force, an independent law enforcement group made up of National Special Forces alumni. But bringing down DNME won't be easy. It'll take cleverness, creativity, and calculated risks. But men, they don't call them the C-Force for nothing. Easy peasy. Easy peasy, lemon squeeze me. Cool world. Yeah, this game also blows. I'm not even gonna try and sugarcoat it. I googled the reviews for this game, and I'm not the only person who thinks so. It's loosely based on a movie of the same name from 1992. I'll read you the manual because I have no clue what's going on. It's an imaginary world that's real. This, yeah, great start to a manual. This makes sense. This checks out. This is what English was made for. This is why people speak, so we can fucking write bullshit sentences like this. It's an imaginary world that's real. It exists in another dimension where cartoon characters called doodles are alive. It's a cool world. It was Vegas Vinny who first discovered the tunnel connecting Cool World with this world. There he found the golden spike of power, the balancer between the two worlds. For safekeeping, he placed it on top of the Ocean Hotel in Las Vegas. Now a knockout doodle named Holly Wood wants to take all the power the golden spike can give her. She wants to get herself a real body and exist in this world. If she is successful, she may actually destroy both worlds. She's already stolen the map, which shows the position of the tunnels from Cool World to the real world, and tore it up into 5 pieces, which she has hidden with members of her gang. As Harris, the law enforcer of Cool World, you go up against Holly and her henchmen to recover all 5 pieces and return to the Ocean Hotel. Holly and her hoods are out to get you, so you'd better get them first if you want to save this world. What I don't understand about these games, I guess it's also a video game, so I think I'm nitpicking here too much. But they get these like, they get these like maps, or like they'll get like a treasure map or something, and then they'll rip it up into like 5 pieces and then place it in 5 separate places. Surely there's an easier way to do this. I apologize for being so negative on some of these games, but Jesus Christ, man, did they even try? There's absolutely nothing cool about Cool World. Do you want to know what I really think about this game? Cosmic Epsilon. This game wasn't released outside of Japan, but the short and sweet rundown of the story that I found online is that a hostile alien force from the Epsilon Empire is on a collision course with Earth, threatening total destruction. One of their massive transport battleships has already landed, unleashing swarms of enemy fighters. The player pilots the Cosmic Epsilon, a powerful humanoid robot capable of transforming, and must battle through 8 intense levels, starting from Earth's surface and advancing deep into space, all the way into enemy-controlled zones. I had a lot of fun with this one. I could imagine you'd get motion sickness if you played this for too long. Cosmic Wars. This game wasn't in English. Couldn't really grasp on what was going on. Had some trouble booting it at first for some reason, but got it to work with some tweaking. What it really comes down to is that this is a turn-based strategy game based on the characters and conflicts of the Gradius series. From what I can gather online, the premise is something like this. Cosmic Wars returns to the Gradius universe, where a 650-year alliance between the Gradius Empire and the Bacterions has collapsed, sparking a new war. This time, instead of piloting the Vic Viper in arcade-style battles, you step into the role of Fleet Commander, taking strategic control over an entire armada to lead in large-scale tactical warfare. I don't know what any of that means, but if you're familiar with the Gradius series, I'm sure you can piece something together here. Cosmo Police Galavan. Cosmo 2010. The evil syndicate, Mado, seized control of the universe. The Dark Lord Madius crushed the Universal Police's cyborg warriors. They sent the last one, Cosmo Police Galavan, to the enemy planet Badr. The player assumes the role of a lone warrior who can equip a powerful defensive exosuit, but only after gathering enough energy chips scattered throughout the world. This hero wields a sword as their primary weapon. Over time, guns become available, but they require energy in order to use them. The game's structure is similar to that of Metroid, with the stage-based progression of later Castlevania entries. The game was not in English. I got to a certain point in the game and couldn't figure out how to progress any further, unfortunately. There were 2 men that seemed to be injured that I spoke to, but their dialogue wasn't in English, so I figured maybe they were telling me how to progress, or at the very least giving me hints that I couldn't understand, so I wandered around for a few more minutes, but ultimately gave up. Cowboy Kid. Once upon a time in the Old West, there was a young gunslinger named Sam. Sam lived alone with his father. His father was the sheriff of Villatown. Villatown was a very quiet and peaceful town until the arrival of a group of villains known as the Scorpions. A rumor was heard that the Scorpions were going to rob the next incoming train. Sam's father tried to stop them, but was never heard from again. Poor Sam was left all alone in the world. He was sad and mad at the same time. We got some S-tier writing here. Wow, this is cinema. And he didn't know what to do. It didn't take Sam too long before he decided to bring the Scorpions to justice. As he was in search of these villains, he was attacked by some of the Scorpions. A young Indian warrior saw Sam and saved him from the villains. The Indian warrior was so impressed with Sam's courage that he vowed to hear the truth. The Indian warrior introduced himself as Little Chief. He wanted to know why Sam was searching for the Scorpions. Sam told him the whole story. To Sam's surprise, Little Chief volunteered to help Sam bring those ruthless villains to justice. They realized that the only way to put the Scorpions behind bars was with the weight of the law. Sam is appointed sheriff, and with Little Chief as his deputy, they would do just that. Here, your part in this story begins. Imagine your father gets killed in some kind of Western gang warfare, and you're all like, I'm gonna take matters into my own hands and kill the people who killed my dad. And whoever the governor of the town is all like, hey, since your dad was a sheriff, and you want to get some revenge here, how about you with absolutely no prior training whatsoever, become the sheriff and arrest the people who got rid of your dad. I don't think the game says that your dad died, but we're just gonna assume so because he was never heard from again. Actually, it has a pretty cool concept and the gameplay is pretty fun, I can't lie. I feel like if it was very slightly more polished, it would be S tier. Pretty much Red Dead Redemption on the NES. My only downside with this one is the hitboxes. They are absolutely terrible. Not in a I can't hit this enemy type of way, but in a this enemy is on the complete opposite side of the screen but can somehow hit me with their melee weapon kind of way. The enemy selection screen is a bunch of wanted posters. Honestly, they couldn't have done it any better if they tried. There are also stores you can stop into along the way, where you can purchase things like food to replenish your health, a ladder, which can be used if you're underground and want to return to the surface, and a map, which I couldn't make much sense of. Like, it shows you where to go, but I didn't really see the point. There are also a few mini games you can play as well, like a shooting range, or one of those circus mallet things that hits the bell. You know what I'm talking about. The strongman, swing the mallet, hit the bell. All in all, pretty solid game. 10 out of 10. Rest in peace, Arthur Morgan. Crackout. I'll read you the manual, but it's just a breakout clone. You know, control the paddle, hit the ball into the bricks, destroy all the bricks, you win. It is the year 3000 and something. Human beings have used up all the metals on Earth, so they have traveled into deep space to find more. They find a planet with great mineral wealth, but with unbreathable air. So they use all available technology to build a computer life support system, moved in, and named their new home planet Selim. Several decades pass without trouble, but the planet is being spied on. The aliens spying on this rich planet discover a fault in the central computer and infiltrate it. The computer was programmed to self-destruct if it ever got out of control. The aliens bombard the computer with false information to cause it to go haywire, activating the self-destruct system. Immediately, the people of planet Salem discover what has happened and called the planetary patrol to save them. There is only one way to deactivate the self-destruct system. A 14-letter keyword has to be entered into the computer from a secret internal keyboard, but the letters of the keyboard are hidden in the walls of different rooms. Your mission is to deactivate the self-destruct system. You board the high-performance Red Fighter and use your only weapon, a Super Ball. You must penetrate the computer's defense systems, get past alien enemies, and quickly find the keyboard. Planet Slim depends on you. I was gonna make your mom joke, but it seems it's not very tasteful right now. Crash and the Boys Street Challenge is a sports game in the Kunio-kun series. Yeah, this is just a bunch of mini games based around sports. I would read you the manual, but all it really comes down to is it's about a kid named Crash Cooney who's been challenged by Todd Thornley II to a no-holds-barred multi-event sports competition, with the sports being 400-meter hurdles, hammer throw, swimming, rooftop jump, and fighting.
Crayon Shinchan, Ora to Poi Poi.
This game stars the famous Japanese character
Crayon Shinchan.
It's like, how do I even explain this? Okay, one, it isn't even in English, so I'm just winging it here. It's a fast-paced card game with a Tetris twist. Picture a tennis court. You're on one side, your opponent's on the other, and a pile of cards sits in the middle. You move Shinchan up and down, sliding matching pairs into the center to push the stack towards your rival's goal. You shove the whole pile past them, you win. Ba-boom. Crazy Climber. You play as a daredevil trying to climb to the top of a skyscraper. You start at the bottom and climb up while avoiding things like falling flower pots, electric signs, big apes, trash, and a bird that drops stuff on you. Wasn't much of a story from what I could find. Controls were extremely wonky. Not sure if it's on my end or the game's end. Crisis Force is a vertically scrolling shooting game. This game wasn't released outside of Japan, but the Wikipedia article has the translated plot from the manual that I'll read to you. Asuka and Maya are typical high school students living in Tokyo. Even though their parents are archaeologists, they lived a rather mundane life. But then one day, the same ominous dream that the two siblings were having lately suddenly became a reality. The 7 monsters that sunk down the land of Atlantis and destroyed most of the ancient civilizations 10,000 years ago have suddenly revived. Modern weapons were no use against the strange weapons of Atlantis. The entire world was engulfed in the flames of war, and it did not take long for the hands of evil to reach Japan. Asuka and Maya's parents, who were caught in the attack, revealed the truth to their children during their dying moment. They were not Asuka and Maya's true parents. During an archaeological trip on a deserted island 17 years ago, the couple discovered an Aura Wing, an aircraft built by the ancient Mu civilization. Inside the aircraft, there was a life support system containing a pair of infants. Indeed, Asuka and Maya were actually the children of a brave warrior from Mu, who fought against Atlantis 10,000 years ago. Asuka and Maya, now awakened to their true destiny, are the only hope mankind has against Atlantis. The siblings board on their respective Aura-winged ships, each possessing a mystical power, as they fly off to a continent shrouded in dark clouds. Can't go wrong with a top-down shooter. What can I say? There are tons of power-ups you can find as well with, let's just call it an ultimate ability that pretty much makes you super overpowered and near invincible, if you're careful. I'm not sure if it's on a time limit or if I accidentally get hit by small projectiles, but Crystallis. The story of Crystallis. It has been said that an ending is merely a beginning in disguise, and so it was that when the Great War engulfed the world, bringing civilization as we know it to an end. It ushered in the dawn of a new era, an era in which science and technology were shunned, for they have proven to be mankind's downfall, and the ancient arts of sorcery and magic were revived. As the survivors slowly rebuilt their world, towns and villages began to spring up, and the wisest and most capable of the magicians used their magic to keep order. Peace reigned over the land for 100 years, until a powerful magician named Dragon, intrigued by the forbidden ways of science, began to study the principles of machines and flying. Realizing the power he might wield if he combined the magic with technology, his mind became twisted by the urge to control and dominate his fellow men. Dragon created a computer capable of simulating his magic powers. He placed it in a floating fortified tower, and from this airborne fortress he built and controlled his growing empire until the entire planet was threatened by his ever-spreading evil. In an attempt to combat Dragon, the other magicians constructed a series of powerful swords, along with powerful items to use with these swords. Based on the basic elements of the land, wind, fire, water, and thunder, the 4 swords, if used together at full power, would transform into the next elemental stage, that of crystal. This would be the mightiest weapon ever created, the Sword of Crystallis. Learning of their idea, Dragon seized the weapons, but they had made them too well, and he was unable to destroy them. Knowing they could only defeat him if used together, Dragon scattered the weapons throughout the land and stripped the wise magicians of most of their powers. In desperation, they began to study the writings from the time of the Great War, where they learned of a great magician, the most powerful who had ever lived. He had been imprisoned in a cave and frozen by the evil forces of the Great War, who had hoped to use his powers to control the world after the war. Searching the globe, the wise men found the cave, and were amazed to find that the mighty magician frozen within was a mere lad. Though they knew it might destroy them, they pooled all their remaining powers in an attempt to will him back to life. When the boy awoke, his mind a blank, even his name forgotten, they had vanished, leaving him to find his destiny in this strange new world. In Crystallis, you play the role of the young magician, making your way through Dragon's hostile land in an effort to locate the weapons you will need to defeat him. Dragon's monsters and black magic will threaten you at every turn, but you must not falter. Only you can deliver the world from his scourge of evil. The manual is also full of information, and colorful pictures. I have nothing bad to really say about this game, and I most definitely will be coming back to it in the future. I don't want to give away too much information because I highly recommend checking it out for yourself. Yeah, I'm a sucker for games like this. Honestly, one of the best RPGs I've played this far for the NES. Another one of those games where I go to play for like 20 minutes and end up sinking way too much time into. Cyber Ball. Yeah, this game does have a story in its manual, but I won't bother reading it. It's just a football game that takes place in the 21st century. What I will point out though is that the manual says this game takes place in 2015, which is 10 years ago now. Could you imagine if football was just robots? That seems like so far-fetched even now. And this game only came out in 1992. They were like, oh yeah, 20 years from now there's going to be robots playing football. Cybernoid the Fighting Machine. If anyone could have found the riches we stored on those remote asteroids, it'd be the Zogians. They were 3 anonymous asteroids in a storm of thousands of other asteroids, all of which looked almost identical. That's why we thought they'd be a great hiding place for rare minerals and precious gems. And they were, until the Zog pirates caught whiff of them. Now it's a universal disaster. They've attacked the asteroids, infiltrated our storage rooms, and confiscated jillions of astral bucks worth of commodities. Experience has taught us that conventional tactics don't work well against Zogians. They're much too clever for that. That's why we want to try out our newest advancement in armed space fighter technology on them, the Cybernoid. This one's got everything. Standard laser blasters, sure, but more. Much more. There are megaton blasting bombs, genocide missile exterminators, and off-the-wall bouncers for hair-raising action, plus heat-sensitive seekers to hone in on enemy ground installations. Not to mention the magnetic superconductor shield for impact-proof protection. There's also a rear-firing blaster for double the defensive power. Then there's our top-secret weapon, never before tried anywhere in the universe, Cyber Mace. You have to see it to believe it. And see it you will, because you're the one selected to fly Cybernoid's maiden mission. And you're the one who will have to purge the asteroids of the Zogian pirates. So go get them. You pilot a ship through various levels, blasting obstacles and collecting power-ups. There's no sign of any bosses, which might be for the best. The formula is repetitive and offers little variation to keep things interesting. The background music is just a pulsing bass that is beyond annoying after a few minutes. Ended up muting the game after like 30 seconds. There's times where you would go to the next screen or die and respawn just for a fuck ton of enemies to be bombarding you. And half the time they're in the way, making it impossible to continue to the next screen in the level. All in all, I mean, the game is not good in my opinion. I guess it is if you're into those test of skill type of games. Might be right up your alley. But me personally, nada. Psycho Race Roadman is a bike racing game. Seems like we always end these videos on a lame game. I apologize if this is your favorite game of all time, but let's be real for a second here, fellas. Yeah, I'm not going to do much digging on this one. You spam a button to accelerate and steer with the D-pad. Not much else to it. And that just about wraps up the letter C. Jesus. It's been a long time coming. I apologize for the wait to the 3 of you that have been waiting. But what can I say? Life got in the way. Hopefully the next one won't take, damn near a year. Alright, well, next time we'll be taking a look at the letter D. D is for Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Make sure to put rubber bands around the like button until it explodes like a watermelon. Yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, leave a video reply. Later.